The Atlantic Ocean, a vast, unforgiving expanse of dark, churning water. On the night of February 4th, 1982, the single-handed sailboat Napoleon Solo was in a fight for its life. Its captain, a 29-year-old naval architect named Stephen Callahan, had been sailing for 6 days out from the Canary Islands, heading for Antigua. Steady, confident, unaware of what awaited him. He was an experienced sailor, but nothing could have prepared him for what was coming. As he slept below deck, a violent bang, like a car crash, jolted him awake. Water wasn't just trickling in, it was gushing. The Napoleon Solo was sinking. Fast. In the pitch black of a stormy night, surrounded by massive, angry waves, Stephen had less than 30 minutes to abandon his vessel, his home. He deployed his 6-man Avon life raft, a small yellow inflatable circle that would soon become his entire world. He grabbed his emergency ditch bag, tossed it into the raft, and cut the tether just as his beloved boat slipped beneath the waves, swallowed by the dark, merciless ocean. The storm raged. Waves crashed over the tiny raft, threatening to flip it, to send him into the freezing black water. For hours, he was tossed around like a toy, the sheer violence of the sea a constant, terrifying roar. When dawn finally broke, the storm had passed, but a new, far more horrifying reality set in. Stephen Callahan was alone, utterly, completely alone. Adrift in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, a tiny yellow speck in an endless, indifferent blue. The first few days were a blur of survival tasks. He inventoried his meager supplies, a small amount of food, a few solar stills for making fresh water, some flares and a spear gun. The raft, his only refuge, was damaged and losing air. He spent hours patching the leaks, his hands raw, his body aching. The sun was relentless, turning the yellow canopy into an oven. The solar stills produced only a few ounces of water a day, barely enough to keep dehydration from setting in. Hope was fragile. He watched the horizon, praying for a ship, a sign of life, anything. 1 week in, his food ran out. Hunger began its slow, gnawing torture. The ocean, which had tried to drown him, was now his only source of sustenance. He began to hunt. He targeted dorado, beautiful iridescent fish that swam in the shade beneath his raft. They became his lifeline. He learned their patterns, their movements. Every successful hunt was a monumental victory against starvation. He ate them raw, the taste of survival, metallic and vital. He was becoming a creature of the sea, his life governed by the sun, the wind, and the migration of fish. But he was not entirely alone. Under the raft, a community of marine life began to form. And with the smaller fish came the predators. Sharks. At first they were curious shadows circling from a distance, but soon they grew bolder. One day, a large shark, longer than the raft itself, rammed into the inflatable floor from below. The impact sent a shockwave through Stephen's body. He jabbed at it with his spear, a desperate attempt to drive it away. The shark tore a hole in the raft's floor. Water began seeping in. Panic surged. He had to patch it right there, in the open ocean with the shark still circling. His world shrank to one terrifying task: fix the leak or sink. He managed a temporary repair, his heart pounding long after the shark faded into the deep. Days bled into weeks. The loneliness was a physical weight, a constant crushing pressure. The vast, empty horizon reminded him daily of his isolation. He tracked his progress by the stars, estimating he was drifting west at about 15 miles a day. He saw ships, 9 in total. 9 times his heart leaped with hope. He fired flares, their bright red trails screaming against the sky. But each ship was too far. Each one sailed on, oblivious to the tiny figure in the yellow raft, waving his arms, his voice lost to the wind. Each passing ship was a fresh stab of despair. He was a ghost on the ocean, unseen and unheard. His body was wasting away. The constant sun weathered his skin. The salt water chapped his lips. He grew thinner, his face gaunt, his eyes sunken from exhaustion and malnutrition. Yet his will to live remained. He fought the sun, the thirst, the hunger. He fought the sharks. He fought the storms that clawed at his fragile shelter. And most of all, he fought the crushing despair that threatened to swallow him whole. He talked to himself, kept a log, forced his mind to stay sharp, refusing to surrender to solitude. He was a sailor, an architect, a survivor. He would not let the ocean win. The days turned into a month, then 2. He became part of the ocean's rhythm. He knew the feel of the current, the smell of the air before a storm, the habits of the fish that were both companions and food. He had drifted over 1,800 miles. His body was failing, a frail shell, but his spirit, honed by 75 brutal days, was unbreakable. Then on the 76th day, something changed. He saw birds. Not seabirds, land birds, circling overhead. It meant land was near. A surge of hope shot through him. He scanned the horizon, searching, and then he saw it. Not a ship this time. An outline, a shape, an island. It was Guadeloupe. Just as land came into view, he saw something else. A fishing boat, small, heading his way. At first he didn't dare believe it. He'd had too many false hopes. But it kept coming closer. He saw figures on deck. Fishermen. They saw him. They were shouting and waving. After 76 days adrift, lost to the world, Stephen Callahan had been found. The fishermen pulled him from the raft, his legs too weak to stand. As they lifted him aboard, he looked back one last time at the small yellow craft. It had been his prison and his savior. It bobbed on the waves, empty now. A silent testament to an unbelievable journey of survival. He had stared into the abyss, and the abyss had stared back. But he did not blink. He survived. Follow Unforgotten archives for more unforgettable stories.